Hey everyone, my name is Danny. Welcome to Jones Vibes. F1 is a brand new film from director Joseph Kosinkski, produced by F1 driver and seven-time champion Lewis Hamilton, and starring Brad Pitt and Damson Idris. And if you've been watching my channel, you'll probably know that I have been highly anticipating this movie. It was one of my most anticipated of the entire year. My wife and I were huge F1 fans, mainly because of the show Drive to Survive. Like, that's what got us into the sport. Now we have the season pass, we watch every single race, and we're like all in with it. But then I heard that they were making this movie. I knew this was coming out, and when I was informed that it was Brad Pitt and the director of Top Gun Maverick, all I had to say was, let's freaking go. This was also another one of those movies that I was really looking forward to seeing in IMAX. Very similar to Top Gun Maverick, just those movies that were made to be seen on the big screen, you know what I mean? The opportunity here to watch this on a massive screen in the driver's seat is something that's never really been done, and it's such a freaking cool point of view to see for like 2+ hours sitting there. And so what I'm trying to say here is I was really excited for this movie, and I just had the opportunity to go and check it out. And man, oh man, I have a ton of thoughts about this movie. It was an amazing experience, but there's a lot to talk about. And so that's what we're going to be doing today. This will be a spoiler-free review. Make sure to leave your thoughts down in the comments. I'd love to hear from you guys. And let's talk F1. The movie. It's F1 the movie. That's the title, right? They put the movie in there. But the synopsis reads, in the 1990s, Sonny Hayes was Formula One's most promising driver until an accident on the track nearly ended his career. 30 years later, the owner of a struggling Formula One team convinces Sonny to return to racing and become the best in the world. Driving alongside the team's hotshot rookie, Sonny soon learns that the road to redemption is not something you can travel alone. And just to get initial thoughts out of the way here, walking out of this movie, like as I was exiting the theater, I was extremely freaking hyped because it was everything that I wanted it to be. I'll talk about the intensity and the high octane stuff here in a second, but the thing that I was most happy about, really when thinking about it, was that this was a movie with a lot of those familiar story tropes, the tropes that happen within a film that just, they make you feel comfortable, I guess, in the movie that you're watching, but they were done in a very unique and new way. And especially with this being a sports movie, I liked how it was less of a hero and villain type story and more of a story of redemption and mentorship. It's not complex, it's really simple, and I feel like when you're watching a sports movie, that's kind of what you want. But it was simple while keeping the audience guessing just enough. Like the only other movie that I can think of Formula One related, right, is Rush, and you have Chris Hemsworth, and then he's trying to beat Niki Lauda. Like this was, I think that was based on a true story, but the whole thing is very adversarial. It's also very easy to compare this movie to Top Gun Maverick, with this being the same director and all, but in that movie, Maverick, he's already super decorated. Like he is a mentor and he's ushering in this new era, but there's not a lot that Maverick is trying to work towards. It's more so like the younger generation. In this movie, Sonny is like this washed up deadbeat, and Brad Pitt played that perfectly. Not to say that he's like a washed up actor or anything. Brad Pitt is great. Brad Pitt will always be great. He's the definition of what a movie star should look like. You know what I mean? He's the top bill. You see that Brad Pitt is going to be in the new F1 movie, and that is amazing. That gets you excited. He's the reason why people come out to the theaters to see this thing. But the reason his entire career that he's kept people coming back is because he delivers. He delivered in this role. He made you feel for what this character was going through, and even though it is a very like easy to put together story, it's a very simple story, it's a simple product at face value, it works. It really works because you feel something. But the other thing I loved, and I want to talk a lot about this, I might talk more about this near the end, but it was just the attention to detail for F1 fans. I truly have a feeling that people that enjoy the sport are going to go crazy for this movie because they do a really good job. I mean, there might be some really high caliber F1 snobs out there that are like, nah, they didn't do this right and they didn't do that right, but it's about the amount of time that they spent within F1, the amount of time that they clearly took trying to get things right. All that I care about is the effort. They made it feel like I was watching F1, and after watching races every single weekend, it kind of just felt like I was right back there. And you have all of these racers, all of these people within the sport coming into this movie. You have Max Verstappen there, you have George Russell there, you have freaking Lewis Hamilton producing this movie and also acting in this movie, or at least being a part of it. Like, it's so cool to watch Sonny Hayes step into the world of Formula One, and he's racing and he's next to George Russell, and you're like, hey, I know George Russell. Also, for any F1 fans out there, you have some of the team principals. Toto Wolff makes an appearance, which I audibly laughed. I was the only person that laughed in the theater because I just felt like Toto Wolff had to have his little stamp in this movie. He had to have his one line. He's like the Jerry Jones Thrones of F1 to me these days. But anyway, it just felt like you were sitting down watching Netflix, this amazing version of Drive to Survive with Brad Pitt. Funny enough, also side story, not to rant too much, but Brad Pitt, my wife is an event planner actually, and she worked with Mercedes and Total Wolf a couple years ago, and Brad Pitt was actually with them, and humble brag, she met him. But I thought that was so cool because clearly Brad Pitt was spending time with that team. He was spending time with Lewis Hamilton, and so again, that brings it back to the effort, the amount of time that they put into making this and making it feel right. Because making a movie about a sport is very similar to making a movie off of a massive IP, you know what I mean? You want to appease the fans, you want to make them happy. And that side of things definitely did, but the movie wouldn't work without some stellar performances. Again, I thought Brad Pitt was great. I could talk about him all day, but Brad Pitt is Brad Pitt. The one kind of shining star in this movie for me was Damson Idris. I think that's how you say his name, Damson Idris. This young kid, he plays like the kind of cocky young gun, the other teammate of Sonny Hayes, and he was just phenomenal. He really was phenomenal. He did a really great job at playing that character with a huge ego, but the story also adds layers to him, which is kind of unexpected in something like this. They could have played it safe. In another world, they might not have given him nearly as much time. They could have just made him the bad guy, but they kind of made him like a second main character in the movie, which if you watch the trailers, you don't really expect that. I kind of had a feeling it was going to be more cliche, but I really liked what they did with this character, and if they ever made a sequel, let's go, bro. He also, as well as Brad Pitt, but really this character of JP, he was a really great facial actor, and I felt like you had to do that because you're wearing this helmet with a visor, and it's a lot of like eye acting, you know what I mean? You're trying to convey emotion just through your eyes, but he was phenomenal at that. Like there were scenes when he's driving, and obviously you're kind of swept up in what's happening within the car, but there were scenes that just through his eyes, he was telling this story that made me a little bit emotional, and I don't think many actors can do that. I also want to shout out Kerry, Condon, and Javier Bardem, both of which gave really strong performances. I felt like the romance with Kerry's character was a little bit unneeded in this movie, very similar to Top Gun Maverick, how they kind of threw that romance in there, but you kind of have to check all the boxes with a big blockbuster like this, and it was pretty fun. I mean, it was kind of a fun thing. Javier Bardem's character, however, he had a relationship with Sonny Hayes that I didn't really expect. I didn't know that that was going to be a thing, and truly it ends up making the entire story kind of fit together and makes things that much more powerful in the end when everything comes together. Also, Javier Bardem is he's just the freaking best. Stilgar, man, Dune, let's go. But all of that aside, you can have some great performances, you can have this or that. Really, the one thing that's going to get you out of the theater and probably make you go see this movie again is the technical achievement of what they pulled off here. It is freaking phenomenal. This is why you go see this movie on a big screen. It's the racing. They put you in the cockpit with these drivers, and you're literally there. It's very similar to Top Gun Maverick, where you're feeling something in a movie theater for the first time that you've never felt, that nobody's ever felt besides these drivers. You get to be there, you get to race with these guys, and it is so freaking intense. This is why I love sports movies in general. There are moments in Creed where my heart is just pounding. Miracle on Ice. These are moments that are so tense and so emotional. You get really worked up, but when you add this racing element into this thing, and it's so intense already because the camera's shaking and there's another car trying to pass you right here, and you're just right in the thick of it, and then you're adding in all of the layers of the story coming into it. It's a beautiful thing. My favorite movie of all time is Speed Racer. This is another racing movie, but a very different racing movie and a very different style of shooting there. They weren't actually in the cars doing all of this crazy stuff, but this movie did remind me of Speed Racer in a couple different ways, and it is just that fact where you're involved in the race, you're wondering if he's going to pass this or if they're going to win or whatnot, but then again, all of these layers come in and you're kind of feeling what's happening in the story within, and I just love how they can do that. I love how they somehow achieved that, where each race throughout the film has a different kind of meaning. Each race is telling its own story, and that's very similar to the sport. That's very similar to every weekend that these drivers go through. Each race is unique in and of itself, and I forget the exact line of this movie, but it's something along the lines of like, if you win this race, that's the one moment in your life where you know for certain you were the best driver in the world. And I really appreciated hearing that because that's kind of what separates this sport from other things. Every single race is some sort of like a Grand Prix, you know what I mean? It's some sort of championship. It's a huge deal just to win that one race, because a lot of drivers don't even get that one race, you know what I mean? Sometimes it might seem easy because they have the faster car or whatnot, but it means so much. And so being a part of that, getting to be a part of that, I'm going to go see this movie several more times just because it's an experience. It's like a thrill ride, but it's better than a thrill ride because you're getting this very emotional story. Also, I forgot to mention, but the credits started in this movie, not at the end, but at the very beginning when they're announcing things. It goes composed by Hans Zimmer. I had no idea that Hans Zimmer was doing the score for this, but if you're a fan of Pirates of the Caribbean, if you're a fan of, The Dark Knight, if you're a fan of Inception, if you know Hans Zimmer, The Lion King, this guy is absolutely phenomenal, one of the best composers of all time, and he did this movie. So you can imagine the final race in this movie, it builds up to the final race. Hans Zimmer behind that in an F1 car with Brad Pitt, it's just perfect. It can't get any better than that. But all in all, this was a perfect time at the movie theater. If you're an F1 fan, I highly recommend getting out to this thing as soon as possible and seeing it multiple times. Have a lot of fun. I know that you're going to enjoy it. I have a great feeling that you're going to enjoy it. But if you're not even into the sport, go check it out. Maybe that'll convince you to come home and watch Drive to Survive on Netflix or start getting into the sport. It's a really fun thing. Racing is a really fun thing. And this movie was just genuinely awesome. So I hope a lot of audiences like it. As for me, I always got to give my Jones Vibe star rating. I am giving F1 4.5 out of 5 stars. That extra half there is mainly just because some of the cheesy dialogue moments. Even though I love a lot of them, it's like, wait a minute, he's not even racing. He's driving. You know what I mean? And you're like, all right, yeah, I mean, it's great. I'm crying, but whatever. But anyway, my friends, if you get out to see F1, please let me know your thoughts down in the comments. Are you going to go see it? I would love to hear it. Your opinion is always welcome around here. But also, more than anything, my friends, I hope you're keeping up the good vibes. I'll see you in the next video. Peace. I'll see you later. Whoa, whoa, whoa.